Yeah, Glenn Greenwald fucking sucks, bro. Like, let's be honest, man. This guy is, like, not good. So, Glenn Greenwald, I don't even know how to start this segment, honestly. So, Glenn Greenwald decided to engage in some very questionable tactics in the battlefield and the free marketplace of ideas. And we're going to get into him defending Matt Gaetz in a second here. But as you can see, the Glenn Greenwald Gaetz defense just dropped, right? And then we click on the tweet, and wait a second! What? I've been censored! That's right, folks. Glenn Greenwald has blocked me on Twitter.com, folks. So just for pointing out that he was defending Matt Gaetz, he got triggered. The guy got into a frenzy of offense. He was so afraid for his safety that he decided to block my free speech on Twitter.com. He decided to censor me. And the reason why that's particularly offensive is because Glenn Greenwald, a month ago, said he would come on my show and discuss transgender sports and transgender kids, right? And also, 4 months ago, he said he would come on my show and discuss transgender issues. He has yet to do so. He even publicly harassed me on Twitter a month ago. But this time around, he decided to block me. That's so sad, right? So what I gotta do here is I gotta bust it out, folks. I know, don't you hate doing this? The incognito mode. That's right, folks. You can't get away from me, Glenn. You can't get away from me, motherfucker. So, let's get into this fucking Matt Gaetz defense, shall we? We're in incognito mode. Like, let's go. We're going in. This is an investigative journalist kind of shit here. I'm opening up a private browser. Like, this is some serious shit. So, due process, adult sexual morality, and the case of Representative Matt Gaetz. What? Now, I want to remind everyone, Glenn Greenwald on his Twitter profile thinks that being blocked by anyone on Earth is a sign of the failure of free speech, right? It's a sign that people hate each other and people can't exchange ideas. If he ever gets blocked by anyone, he cries, he whines, he whines. Glenn Greenwald is one of those people who hates cancel culture until he's the one doing the canceling. Then it's great. So I want to remind everyone, Glenn Greenwald has also been a lawyer at times defending Nazis. That's right. As a lawyer, he chose to go out of his way to defend Nazis' rights to... Oh, it's just free speech, bro. Just free speech. Anyway, so let's read. Rep. Matt Gaetz is a pedophile, a sex trafficker, an abuser of women who forces them to prostitute themselves and use drugs with him, is a widespread assumption in many media and political circles. Now, he may have Venmo receipts of sending sex traffickers that have admitted to being sex traffickers, that are on tape and being evidenced to be sex traffickers, sending that guy money that guy used to pay off women. That may have happened. But, I mean, due process, bro. Due process, bro. That is true, despite the rather significant fact that not only has he never been charged with, let alone convicted of such crimes, but also no evidence has ever been publicly presented that any of it is true. He has also vehemently denied all of it. All of, or some of these accusations very well may be true, and one day, perhaps imminently, there will be an ample publicly available evidence demonstrating this. Now, I want to remind everyone about Glenn Greenwald and why he's on Substack. You might be thinking, what is this obscure website? Substack? What is that? What is Substack? Look at this. Glenn Greenwald.substack. Why is Glenn Greenwald, founder of The Intercept, on Substack? What happened? Well, he was trying to write an article about how Hunter Biden is a criminal. Yeah, that's right. This guy believed the Hunter Biden laptop from hell conspiracy theory. Remember, that's what they called it. That's what Sean Hannity called it on Fox News. The laptop from hell. Tucker Carlson, right? The laptop from hell. So he didn't get fired. He quit The Intercept because he thought The Intercept was censoring his free speech. Because what did The Intercept do? Well, he had an editor, right? Being a part of a journalistic outlet, you have an editor, right? And that editor was like, so yeah, you kind of said the same thing like 10 times, and you can probably button this up a little bit. And Glenn Greenwald was like, ah! Why have you decided to censor me on this day? I'm Glenn Greenwald and you censored me! Why did you say that my piece was a little bit redundant? How dare you? I've been censored! While he's trying to write a story about Hunter Biden's, like, fucking secret, like, criminal cabal. Right, so I want to remind everyone, Glenn Greenwald is not someone who has any morals. He is not someone who has any convictions. He doesn't give a fuck about anything other than himself. He's a freak show. He's a loser, and he's a crybaby. So let's read more of this. But that day has not yet arrived, and as of now, blah, 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 blah. The article also said the DOJ inquiry is also examining whether Mr. Gaetz had sex with a 17-year-old girl and whether she received anything of material value. Both the New York Times and later the Daily Beast indicated the existence of financial transactions involving payments by Gaetz to his associate Joe Greenberg. It's just his associate. It's just not like he's a best friend or anything and they hang out all the time. No, they're just associates. That's right. They just know each other vaguely. Currently charged with multiple felonies. The New York Times article made clear no charges have been brought against Mr. Gaetz in the extent... It's almost like he's a politician. Is that possible? Wait. You're telling me he's a politician and has a position of power that allows him to basically have more than an average citizen in regards to defense options? Wait, for real? No way! No, it's almost like... And so his best friend... No, not his best friend, his associate, someone he barely knows, who he just happened to send thousands of dollars to on Venmo, barely knows the guy. By the way, the Venmo payment receipt said, this is money for, like, girl you were going to have sex with. And then Joel's Venmo said, oh, I'm going to give this money that he got from Matt Gaetz to someone that he had sex with. Oops, right? It's just an associate, barely knows the guy. But no matter, one is hard-pressed to find people willing to urge that his guilt not be assumed before evidence. Like, what is this guy doing? I'm sorry, like, what is this guy doing? Like, what is this guy doing? Like, seriously, like, do I have to read this whole thing? Like, do I have to read... Oh, he's got a video. Oh, Lord. How long is 30-minute video?
Everyone, this is...
Why does he do this? Why does he do these videos, man?
Greenwald, and I haven't been able to write much over the last week, as you know, because my book was debuting on Tuesday, and I've had tons of interviews associated...
So this guy has got a book now, and he couldn't write. Oh, so sad. So sad. So we got a video here.
Talking about it. Hopefully this upcoming week, I will have ample time to return to something resembling a regular writing.
I'm not going to watch this whole thing, just so you know.
Unfolding scandal involving Congressman Matt Gaetz, the Republican House member from Florida, because I think it raises some very important and very fascinating questions about a whole variety of topics, including how we think about due process and the assumption.
Again, it's just questions. Like, Glenn Greenwald just got some questions. Like, when it comes to whether or not bisexual people should be allowed to claim being bisexual if they're not currently fucking someone of the same sex, right? So, in order to be bisexual, you need to be gay. In Glenn Greenwald's world. Remember that. He made a 30-minute video that said, if you are bisexual, you have to actually be gay. There is no bisexuality. If you are bisexual and in a relationship with someone who is a different gender than yourself, sorry, you're not a real bisexual because you're not gay. You have to be in a relationship with the same gender, but then also say you like other genders in order to qualify for bisexuality. He's just asking, that's not what he believes, though. He's just asking questions. Why are so many bisexuals not in right now fucking people of the same gender? Why is that? Why aren't they like, oh, you're posting on Twitter that you're bi, but are you currently, like, right as you're posting, like, having sexual intercourse with someone of the same gender? If not, you're not really bi. You're fake. You're not real. And he also said the same thing about trans people. So this is a defense that people who are knowing that they're saying awful garbage, but saying it anyway, love to bring out. I'm just asking questions, bro. Just questions. I'm just, 2 plus 2, it could equal 5. It could. Just asking questions. I mean, what?
About left-wing and libertarian conceptions of morality and how some of those issues have evolved and changed over time, and how it is that we think about the principle of consensual private adult behavior and how that too has changed over time. So obviously this is a very sensitive...
Now again, the article is alleging that this guy is having sex, the investigation is alleging that this guy is having sex or associating with people and paying them to have sex with 17-year-olds. Now... Like, again, let's assume they are 18, right? Let's assume every single one of them is 18. Like, they just turned 18. Amazing. Consensual. Perfect. Now, isn't it a little weird? Right? Okay. Now, maybe it's just, part of the job. You're a member of Congress and you're single, so you get to, have sex with anyone you want. Who cares if they just turned 18? Right? I say that maybe that's a little questionable. Right? I say that maybe there's a power dynamic that needs to be explored there. Hey! That's just me, though. That's just me. Just asking questions. I'm just asking questions, right? But the idea that Matt Gaetz has a friend, no, just an associate rather, who has been charged with being involved with sex trafficking in people under the age of 18, and he pays that guy. It's possible Matt Gaetz was like, only send me the 18-year-olds, right? I don't want to be a pedophile here. Only send me the 18-year-olds. It's possible. Sure, it's possible, right? But at the same time, that has no bearing on whether or not these people were trafficked. There are a lot of people that get caught in sex trafficking rings under the age of 18 and then become 18 and still are caught in those networks. That's a thing. But Glenn Greenwald's just asking questions.
Simply afraid to talk about it because the minute you do anything other than scream pedophile at Matt Gaetz, you yourself will be called either a pedophile or somebody who has sympathy for pedophilia, and I generally don't speak to people who are engaged in that kind of muck, and I don't intend to now. So I do want to begin by talking just about the facts of what we actually know and what we don't know, and it should go without saying, I know it doesn't, that I am not defending.
Now again, Glenn Greenwald rage quit like a child, like a 3-year-old, like a literal toddler, like who didn't get like, you know, like the square peg in the round hole. This guy rage quit the publication that he founded because he wanted to write a story that was based on no evidence. The laptop from hell. Well, the laptop could have had something bad on it, therefore Hunter Biden's a criminal. What? It could have had something bad. We don't know. So therefore Hunter Biden's a criminal. That's what Glenn Greenwald said, and then rage quit The Intercept because they said, you keep saying Hunter's guilty, but he's not. And then, you know, you keep saying that. Maybe you can, like, tidy it up a little bit. No! But right now, it's all of a sudden, it's, due process. Just asking questions all of a sudden.
And I'm here to argue that he did nothing wrong precisely because the evidence relevant to that question has not been publicly presented, either in a judicial proceeding or even publicly. There are a lot of allegations swirling around, but because there's no evidence, it would be to make assumptions one way or the other about whether one believes that he did things like had sex with women under the age of 18, whether that was illegal, whether he paid women for sex, whether he used drugs with them or alone. There's no evidence on any of those questions. Obviously, there may be one day when there's a mountain of indisputable evidence proving that all or some of those allegations are true, but that is not yet the case. None of that evidence has been presented, and therefore nothing I'm talking about has anything to do with my views on whether he will ultimately be determined to be guilty of these allegations because that evidence is not available. So let me just talk about what is known. I think it's very important to remember that this story broke on March 30th, when the New York Times published an article that did not report that Congressman Gaetz, has been charged with, let alone convicted of any crimes. They reported that there was an investigation ongoing to determine whether he has committed any crimes. This is what that article says, and there's been almost nothing in the way of evidence that has emerged since this article. This is pretty much the universe of what we know. There's a little bit that has emerged, and I'll talk about that. But
right, so you're telling me the New York Times wrote an article about something without evidence. Wow. Never heard of Glenn Greenwald doing that before, right? I've never heard of him rage quitting The Intercept because he wanted to do an article about that. Again, it's just so weird. Like, he's turning Matt Gaetz into some, like, bizarre, like, the left sucks kind of a thing. Like, what? Like, are there any leftists that are actually saying drugs are bad because Matt Gaetz used drugs? Hell no. Drugs are awesome. I love drugs. In fact, I do drugs almost on a daily basis, right? I don't care if Matt Gaetz also loves drugs. That is not, like, who cares, right? Is sex work a problem because Matt Gaetz engaged in it? No! The problem here is that it's not necessarily sex work if someone is fucking compelled to do so at gunpoint. That's what sex trafficking is. You have motherfuckers out there that literally hold people hostage, right? And say that they will, like, kill their family or they'll inflict bodily damage to them if they try to escape, if they try to contact the police or whatever. That's called sex trafficking. That is a significantly different fucking thing compared to having sex with an 18-year-old. If a 50-year-old wants to have, and the 18-year-old, more importantly, wants to have sex and they do it consensually, I don't necessarily have a problem with that, right? But if that 18-year-old is in a fucking sex trafficking ring, that changes the whole fucking goddamn calculation. Right, but Glenn Greenwald doesn't care about that.
This is more or less the full extent of what is known about Congressman Gaetz in this matter. Quote, a Justice Department investigation into Representative Matt Gaetz and an indicted Florida politician is focusing on their involvement with multiple women who were recruited online for sex and received cash payments, according to people close to the investigation and text messages and payment receipts reviewed by the New York Times. The Justice Department inquiry is also examining whether Mr. Gaetz had sex with a 17-year-old girl and whether she received anything of material value, according to 4 people familiar with the investigation. The New York Times article noted, quite importantly, quote, no charges have been brought against Mr. Gaetz, and the extent of his criminal exposure is unclear. So I think it's extremely important to note that he has not been charged with any crimes, let alone convicted, nor has any evidence pertaining to the veracity of these potential allegations been publicly presented. And yet what we find is that the way many people in the media are discussing this case, and the way many even leading politicians who have animosity towards him are doing so, is exactly the opposite. They're asserting that there are charges against him. Let me share with you this video clip shared by the Vox Video Dunce Aaron Ruper about Liz Cheney, the new liberal hero and icon, on Face the Nation this morning. Here is what Congressman Cheney said when asked about...
Yo. Okay. I know Glenn's a boomer. Folks, I know Glenn Greenwald's a boomer. By the way, Glenn, when you unblock him on Twitter. But there's no way I'm about to watch what I'm about to watch. There's no way. Like, I just I don't believe this. Like, what he's doing right now, like, the actions, like, it would be like if I were to get, like, a video on my phone. Like, yeah, sure, I'm streaming my desktop, right? But, like, it would be like if I were to get a video on my phone and then just show you, like, you know, what the video is. What? Like, on my phone? Like, I don't know. Like, what is he doing here?
Liberal hero and icon on Face the Nation this morning. Here is what
he's putting up the laptop.
He said when asked about this matter.
What are you doing, Glenn? Glenn, no! This is like, what is this? Hey! The audio is so bad, bro, Glenn. If you need an editor, I got you. Unblock me. I'll edit for you. Come on, man. I hate you. Like, I literally think you're an awful person. But, that being said, like, I will edit your videos for you so this is less embarrassing. Oh my god. And it's barely audible! This is barely audible! Hold up. Sorry, folks. You gotta turn the volume way up. You can't hear that. It's inaudible. What are you doing? Glenn, what are you doing? I can't watch this. I'm sorry. This video is over. I can't. This is, at this point, I feel like I'm picking. I can't even say that. I really, like, this is really bad. I can't watch this. I'm sorry. This, again. I'm serious. Like, what is this? Like, you expect me to take you seriously? Like, that's something that you think that you can make a video and look like a professional when you do that? Like, I mean, I'm sorry, but, like, and that's the thing. If I were to do that as part of, like, a comedy routine, that's one thing. But this guy is seriously trying to hold up his fucking laptop to the goddamn screen. And, like, the microphone is nowhere near the speaker, so you can't fucking hear it at all, right? It's bizarre. It's strange. It's out of this world. And, honestly, to be honest, I'm going to, I think at this point, like I said earlier, Glenn Greenwald refused. He refused to respond to my email, after already responding to my email, saying he would come on my show. He said he would come on my show to discuss, trans people and whether or not they should be allowed to live. Because he personally thinks that trans people shouldn't be allowed to live. I think that I should be allowed to live personally. Like, it's just on a personal, I personally think that I should be allowed to live without anyone telling me otherwise. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to send him an email, I think, and ask him, like, yo, I saw you blocked me on Twitter. Like, I saw that. That was weird. Like, why did you block me on Twitter? That's strange, right? So I'm gonna send him an email about that. Right now, actually. But again, it's just like this guy is like obsession with like due process and obsession with like just all these things that he doesn't himself follow the rules of is like really bizarre to me. And that's the thing about it. Like, if I believe due process was my number one thing and I wouldn't shut the fuck up about it, I wouldn't be talking about Hunter Biden's laptop. I just wouldn't. That's not something I would do. I would not do that. So, I don't know, man. The guy is just, he's not bright. He's not bright. I have nothing else to say. Actually, I do. I have one more thing to say. In the words of Glenn Greenwald's favorite president,
only the really, I hate to say this, but those with the lowest IQ